Again? We are going through this again? After years of Professor KC giving this lesson repeatedly, I thought we had finally made some progress. Matter of fact, I thought the Trumper resolved this issue on one of his first days in office. Hell, for most of us, this issue was resolved back in kindergarten. During nap time, the teacher would instruct boys to go to one side of the room, girls would be on the other side of the room. Not one time in kindergarten, and I took kindergarten twice. I like nap time so much, I spent 2 consecutive years in preschool. But not one time in my 2-year career did someone like prepubescent Polly say, I sat on the toilet during bathroom time. I'm identifying as Paula today and will be napping with my new besties. During the administration of our former fearless leader, Johnny B. Biden, we were talking about transgender involvement in sports at least once a week. This channel was one of the first here on YouTube to talk about Leah Thomas, formerly known to friends and family as Big Will. We covered several incidents in the People's Republic of California, mainly around the San Francisco Bay Area. As you guys know, the City of Rainbows, kind of like a sanctuary city for men looking to be women. But over the last 6, maybe 8 months, we haven't spent too much time talking about Chad Thundercock dominating women's basketball. Why? Well, for the most part, there really hasn't been much to talk about. Either men stopped competing in women's sports, or, and this is more than likely the case, it wasn't being reported by the media. The backlash had become so severe, the media started to ignore it. But this week, there have been 2 separate incidents, one which has been heavily covered by the media and one that has been conveniently overlooked. The one that's been conveniently overlooked, we won't need social worker Shanice and her PhD from Woke U to figure out why. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Let's go and get to the sponsor for today's video, my good friends at Whoa Mama Protein. And don't worry, Whoa Mama didn't used to be Whoa Papa. You know, as we get older, we start to realize how important it is to take care of our bodies. Diet, exercise, extremely important, but it can be hard to maintain a strict diet, especially if you love snack food. My wife loves snacks, but there are times when she will feel guilty after she eats them. She doesn't have to worry about that guilt anymore because she has recently been consuming a healthier version of snacks from Whoa Mama Protein. Whoa Mama was started by 2 best friends who wanted to create healthy snacks without sacrificing quality and taste. They started out with protein gelato, and they recently released a new line of protein popcorn. Each bag contains 5 grams of protein, only 140 calories. It's also gluten-free and contains no artificial coloring or flavoring. I'm not gonna lie to you, I was initially skeptical of this. A lot of times, healthier versions of anything, they just don't taste the same. But I'm telling you, the protein popcorn from Whoa Mama Protein, it not only tastes the same, I think it tastes better. You will not be disappointed. Protein popcorn from Whoa Mama. It's available in honey, mustard, Diablo fire, but my personal favorite's right here, the garlic parmesan. So click the link in the description below. Use my promo code BTL10, BTL10. Save 10% off your first purchase with Whoa Mama Protein. Stephanie Turner is a female athlete and a member of the Fencing Academy of Philadelphia. Well, KC, how in the hell is fencing athletic? I just had some asshole put in my fence and he broke his hand with a hammer. Yeah, that was probably me. Uncle KC, very dangerous with a hammer. Hell, Uncle KC is dangerous with most tools. Years ago, I locked myself out of my house, decided to use one of my credit cards to unlock the door. I ended up slicing my damn finger open. When I initially installed these shelves behind me, they ended up falling off the wall. That's why the picture right here of the Superdome behind me looks like it's off balance. It was a casualty of the Great Fall of 2023. But anyway, that's not the kind of fencing that I'm talking about. Stephanie Turner competes in the sport of fencing. When you think about it, Fencing really is the perfect sport for deacons at Woke United Methodist. You have two identifiers. Maybe one identifier is an @ sign and the other identifier is a ++. They're each holding a long, supersized pole and they're trying to poke each other with it. But Stephanie Turner, she is not a deacon. She is a real athlete who takes fencing seriously. Over the weekend, Stephanie was competing in a tournament in Maryland. Tournament was hosted by USA Fencing, and it was called the Cherry Blossom D1A/VETROC. Hell, it looks like a damn eye chart. Maybe the tournament was code for Cherry Blossom LGBTQIA. Unfortunately, USA Fencing is notorious for hosting tournaments that aren't exactly fair to women. Back in December, a college student from Woke U named Redmond Sullivan was allowed to compete in the Junior Olympics. The women's tournament of the Junior Olympics was hosted by USA Fencing, and Redmond Sullivan dominated the competition, taking home the golden cucumber. There was just one problem, one tiny problem. Redmond Sullivan used to compete on the men's team. Old Red decided to try out for the women's team after failing miserably when competing against dudes. Fast forward to last weekend, and USA Fencing is hosting their latest eye chart tournament. Stephanie Turner was representing the Fencing Academy of Philadelphia. Now, full transparency here. I did not confirm Stephanie's gender. Trust me, it wasn't from lack of effort. I contacted the Gender Studies Department at Woke U. I asked to speak with Dr. Thomas, they, them. Unfortunately, they were confirming gender for another them, and they couldn't take my call. So, I know I'm not qualified to make this confirmation, but with a name like Stephanie, along with the images that I found of the beautiful Stephanie Turner, pretty confident saying that Stephanie is indeed a natural woman. After weeks, maybe even months of training, Stephanie Turner showed up to Maryland ready to compete. As she was making her way to the ring, or the mat, the floor, the fence, whatever the hell they call it, as she makes her way to the thing, Stephanie realizes that she has been matched with a former man. Instead of fulfilling her opponent's dream of being ferociously poked by the big pole, Stephanie Turner decides that she's not going to compete. Not only was she not competing, she also decided to protest the injustice of being forced to compete against Redmond Sullivan. Watch for yourself. You know, normally I'm not a proponent of kneeling as a form of protest, especially when the kneeling takes place during the national anthem, but I thought this was an effective form of protesting by Stephanie Turner. As you saw in the clip, Redmond Sullivan approached Stephanie Turner. Initially, Redmond thought Stephanie might have been hurt, was making sure that she was okay. Stephanie Turner assured Redmond that she was okay and that she was outright refusing to compete because Redmond wasn't born female. In response, Redmond Sullivan politely said something to the effect of, "There's a member of the board of directors at USA Fencing who believes I'm a woman. They even came up with a policy that says I'm a woman. You're going to be disqualified. Thanks for the win. Ooga!" I contacted my inside sources, asking them to check the credentials of this member of the board of directors at USA Fencing. I wanted to know their qualifications. I wanted to make sure that he or she or them received their PhD in gender confirmation from an accredited university. Normally, my inside sources very reliable, but they were unable to find this mysterious board member who confirmed the gender of Redmond Sullivan. But either way, good for Stephanie Turner. I know I'm joking around a bit, but this had to be difficult for Stephanie Turner. I don't know much about fencing, but I would imagine that Stephanie Turner bust her ass preparing for these tournaments. It has got to be difficult to put in all that work and make the decision to forfeit because you're standing up for what you believe in. Thing is, it should not be on Stephanie Turner to make this decision. This decision should have been made by USA Fencing. Stephanie Turner should have never been in this position to begin with. Now, the other story this week that has been conveniently overlooked by the mainstream media, it involves a biological female from the University of Washington. Cillian Mullen competes in rowing. According to Cillian's Instagram profile, Cillian prefers he/him pronouns. But even with that being the case, Cillian Mullen is choosing to compete athletically against their birth gender, which was female. I wonder why. And I wonder why the mainstream media has conveniently overlooked this story. From a competitive standpoint, Cillian Mullen competing against females, no big deal. My question is, why would they want to? If you're identifying as male, wouldn't you want to compete against other men? You see, this always goes one way, and this is why the media is ignoring this story. Us men, we don't have to deal with this problem because women who become men, they don't want to compete with men. But women don't have that same luxury because men who want to become women, they always choose to compete against women. Give me your thoughts on this. Stephanie Turner kneels in protest and being matched up to compete against Redmond Sullivan. Like I've been saying for years, this is what it is going to take to solve this problem. The only people that can solve this problem are women. Men can support them, men can stand with them, but it is going to take courageous women like Stephanie Turner, Riley Gaines, and the countless other women who have refused to compete. They need our support. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys tomorrow.